I woke to the cold restraint of metal cuffs, the gentle chink of chains, and the sway of a slow-moving vehicle. The scents that rode the air were thick and sharp and spoke of blood, unwashed bodies, fear and anger. Underneath all that ran the heavy musk of at least 24 men. But there were women here too, 4 or 5 of them, sitting to my left. The fear was strongest from their direction. Fear and pain. I flared my nostrils unobtrusively, drawing in the wider aromas while keeping my eyes firmly closed and my head down. There was little other information to be found in the stale stirring of air. Wherever this prison might be, it was locked down as tightly as the cuffs on my wrists and ankles. There was no conversation to be heard, not inside, not outside, nothing other than the occasional stifled sob from the woman seated beside me. Why were they all here? Why was I here? I had no memory of this place, no memory of the events that led to being incarcerated, no memory even of who I was. What I did remember was a fire so fierce it could destroy entire cities in the sweep of leathery wings, a shout of warning, an order to retreat, and then light, bright, fierce, white light that froze in an instant, falling, a cry on my lips and agony ringing in my ears and mind. Crashing not into land, but into water, drowning, and then not, then nothing until these cuffs and chains. It wasn't amnesia, of that I was sure. Rather, there seemed to be a barrier of ice between more recent memories and me. I rather suspected that until all those barriers had dissipated, I'd have to put up with informational gaps. Aside from that absence of memory, there was a strange void in my soul. A dull ache above my left eye, and vague twinges in back muscles that had taken the brunt of a fall that should have killed me. My clothes and boots were damp, no doubt a result of my plunge, and the weight of my guns and knife was absent. The latter was likely the result of my being captured, but I couldn't be certain. Like my name, it was knowledge that remained locked behind the ice. In fact, there was only one thing I was absolutely certain of right now. Unlike the majority of people in this pod, I hadn't been beaten or otherwise abused. I took another deep breath, and this time tasted little more than the ash and anger emanating from the man sitting to my right. His tension rode the air, and the arm that pressed against mine was taut with the fury I could sense but not yet see. He might be chained, but unlike most in this place, he was not defeated. And it was rather odd that I was so quickly getting the measure of a man I hadn't yet viewed. I carefully opened my eyes. We were in a long silver cylinder that was pointed at one end and flat at the other. There were no windows, no guards, and no visible means in and out of this place. It had old fears stirring, but I ruthlessly pushed them aside. Now was not the time for a childhood phobia to rear its head. Besides, there logically had to be a way out. Magic was capable of many things, but I doubted they'd yet created a spell able to transport people through metal walls. The men sitting opposite were chained in pairs, and looked to be as mentally broken as they were physically. But beneath all the blood and the bruises were weather-beaten faces that spoke of long hours in the sun, and calloused, dirt-stained hands that suggested they were farmers rather than warriors. There had to have been a major rebellion for the farmers to be this badly beaten. I shifted fractionally to get a better look at the man sitting on my other side. The chain that linked his cuff to mine rattled, and a red light flashed in warning. A movement detector was active within the pod. "Act broken and do not move," the stranger beside me said, his words so soft they were barely audible. "It will, in the end, save you some discomfort." His voice spoke of deep, dark mountains and soaring, ice-covered peaks, of plunging valleys and aqua-blue lakes, of home, even if I couldn't exactly remember where that was right now. Perhaps it would be wise if you followed your own advice, given your anger burns the air. I paused, my gaze sweeping his long length. He wore the same rough woolen pants and sturdy boots as the rest of those in this pod, but I was certain he was no farmer. The calluses on his big hands spoke of a familiarity with weaponry, rather than tending and tilling fields. And if they watch, do they not also listen? "They care not about words in this pod, only actions,"